Hi, I'm Kelly Ott,
And I'm Laura Wakefield.
and today on Focus Point, we want to talk to you about our flexible brain.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I was reading a comment on a professional social media group.
Professional?
Well, yes, that's another whole topic.
Professionalism.
Whole group of videos on
Yeah.
professionalism and social media. But I read a comment that I just didn't understand where the person was coming from, and had made a sarcastic comment about neuroplasticity in the brain not being a real thing. There's no evidence to support that.
Really?
I know.
That's interesting.
I know.
Okay.
And I guess I'm not really sure where that comment came from, or, really the topic, the discussion wasn't even about that, but the comment was made. And it kind of took me back to an article that I was reading the other day, and I thought this was a fascinating study in Psychology Today. It was talking about what a truly amazing organ our brain really is, and they had done a study where they were comparing the visual category map development in the brain. So there's this area in the brain that is divided into regions, and it can quickly recognize visual input as relating to categories. So when we see something, our brain is recognizing and comprehending and storing and retrieving information in that category. It's kind of putting things into a map, so to speak, a category map area of the brain. And so when we see something, we visually recognize it and it maps it out for us.
Okay.
But what they were finding is that blind people also have this area, the same area of the brain, and they use it in the same way. But obviously they don't see things, right? They're not getting that visual input to develop that part of the brain. But instead, what they do is they use their other senses. So they're not receiving the visual input, but maybe auditorily they're hearing a clock tick, or they're hearing something that then creates this association neural pathway. So it's the same process, but it's circumventing that visual cortex center, which is really interesting to me.
Me too, because I'm thinking about how we talk about, I see the eyes as a channel where we receive information. So you're saying there's this capacity or this storage area, this place in the brain that everybody has, everybody's born with, and it can develop vocabulary center, so to speak, regardless if one of the channels is cut off, it can still develop, and it just uses different pieces there. And it's stored in that area that we typically would label as the visual area. However, that's not, limited to only sighted people. That it's still there, it still has the capacity, it's still developing vocabulary, even if the visual channel has been cut off.
Right. So I guess, when we're talking about these concepts in our field, we really need to look at other research, because I think it's really hard for us to say something does or does not exist. It seems like, and we talk about this all the time, exploring evidence,
right.
And for everything that we believe or we practice, there's evidence to support and evidence not supporting.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to really be mindful of that, and continually keeping open minds,
right,
so that our brains can continue to develop.
Right.
Neuroplasticity.
Right, exactly. And take in that new information through different channels and figure out what to do with it.
And how to apply that, exactly, what to do with it. How does that apply in our field? So that's our thought today on Focus Point.
Thanks for sharing that information. I really appreciate it, because I'm going to be thinking about that, because I do have some clients with visual impairment, and we do see some struggles with reading, and now I'm going to be thinking about this and how it might apply with the vocabulary part of it.
Yeah. So we challenge you. How flexible is your brain?